Good afternoon, boys and girls. It's about 12:40. I'm going to start reading Chapter 3 of The Homework Machine by Dan Gutman. I hope you're enjoying it. Chapter 3. November. The month is November now. Miss Rasmussen, 5th grade teacher. Every so often I have one of the parents come into the class to talk about what they do for a living. Sam was very proud of his father, and he brought him in to talk about the military. It was quite interesting, really. Judy. Snick's dad came in with his uniform and a gun and everything. Can you imagine? A gun in school? I thought it was horrible. Why did we have to learn about war and killing? Sam. Snick. Judy was all obnoxious, saying the world would be a better place if we just had peace and all the hippie stuff. My dad was cool about it. He told her that sometimes a nation has to defend itself, and if you don't, your enemies will just roll over you. She says that all war wasn't like that, and that he told her some is. What did she know about war anyway? He really told her off. Miss Rasmussen. I thought it was wonderful debate. Arguments are not necessarily bad things. They allow people to hear the other points of view. The students were really into it. I let them form their own opinions. Kelsey. Snick's dad and Judy went at it for a long time. It was great. We got to miss math. Snick, or Sam. I walked into class one day, and the first person I see is Kelsey. Her hair is pink. Pink! Who dyes their hair pink? She looked like a cartoon character or something. Man, you dye your hair pink and you might as well just carry a big sign that says, "Pay attention to me." I couldn't believe it. Judy. Snick told me to get a load of Kelsey, and I saw that hideous hair. At first I thought she used spray on stuff and it washes off in a week or so, but it was the real thing. Can you imagine? Well, I thought it was just awful at first. I can't imagine why anyone would want to deface themselves like that. I can't imagine anyone's parent letting a child our age do that. I thought about it some more, though. It occurred to me that I don't like it when people judge me by the color of my skin. I shouldn't judge anyone by the color of their hair. That's a good point. Kelsey. So I dyed my hair. Big whoop. They all acted like I cut off my arm or something. It was a birthday present. My mom dyes her hair so she'll look younger, so she couldn't really argue that I wanted to dye my hair. Whatever. I thought you wanted to know about the homework machine. Miss Rasmussen. 5th grade is hard. Kids have to express their individuality. Pink hair, blue hair, it doesn't matter to me. As long as they pay attention, complete their assignments, and try their best, they can do what they want with their hair. Our school goes all the way from kindergarten to grade 12, but the older grades have their own part of the building. When they reach 5th grade, the kids almost think they rule the school. You know what I mean? They're going to be moving up to middle school, where they will be the little kids again. They want to enjoy being top dogs while they still can. Some of them, anyway. I really didn't see much of a difference during the first marking period. Sam was struggling with both his grades and his attitude. Kelsey was doing okay, but not great. Judy scored in the 90s on all her assignments. Brenton never got less than 100. I told the kids what I always tell them. Hard work pays off. The harder you work, the better you will do. I think that applies to everything in life. Snick. Well, right away I decide that I have to find a way to use the homework machine to do my homework for me. Why not? When cars were invented, people didn't keep using their horses and buggies, did they? When the telephone was invented, people didn't keep sending telegrams. When the computer was invented, people gave up their typewriters. Same thing here. I wanted to keep it between me and Brenton, but Judy and Kelsey already knew about the homework machine, so I had to include them. Judy. It was Snick who called a meeting with Kelsey and me on the playground one afternoon after school. It was like he had his whole speech all planned out. He said there were only 4 in the whole world who knew about the homework machine. The 3 of us and Brenton, of course. He said we should keep it that way. I asked him what he had in mind. That was when he said we should all use the homework machine to do our homework. Well, I didn't like the idea at all. I get A's. I've made the honor roll every year. I don't need any machine to do my homework for me. I don't need any help. Snick said to me, "Sure you get A's, but you have to work so hard to get them. Wouldn't you like to take it easy a little? Wouldn't you like to have more time to do other things besides homework? For all your work, you still only get second smartest in the class. Brenton is the smartest, and he doesn't have to do any homework at all. He's got a machine that does it for him. Is that fair to you?" Snick may not be the smartest kid in the world, but he's a good talker. He got me thinking, maybe Brenton got better grades than me because he had a machine doing his homework for him. That's not exactly fair. The playing field wasn't level. After thinking it over for a long time, I said, "Okay, let's talk to Brenton and see if he'll let us use the homework machine." Kelsey: I said sure, whatever. Include me in. There's nothing good on TV after school anyway. Snick: so I figure Brenton's not going to just let us use his machine for free. What would be in it for him? We would have to pay him or give him something. That's only fair. But I don't have any money, so I think, what does this kid need more than anything else? What does he not have? And the answer is obvious. He doesn't have friends. Maybe he'd let me use the homework machine if we became his friends. Brenton: when Snick came up to me during recess and said he wanted to talk about the homework machine, I had a bad feeling in the pit of my stomach. I thought he was going to blackmail me. I thought he was going to tell me that unless I let him use the homework machine, he was going to tell Miss Rasmussen about it and get me in trouble. But he didn't say that at all. Instead, he said that if I let him use the homework machine to do his homework, he would be my friend. As if the one thing in the world that I really wanted was for Sam Dawkins, Snick, to be my friend. Sam Dawkins, Snick. Well, Brenton just laughs in my face. He says, "I don't need friends." He says, "You don't have to be my friend. If you want to use the homework machine, that's fine. Just come over any time and use it. He doesn't ask for anything in return." I didn't get it. He could have gotten just about anything out of me. For all his smarts, the guy just didn't know how to cut a deal. Fine with me. That was the way I looked at it. If somebody's going to give you something for nothing, take it. Judy: the 3 of us rode our bikes over to Brenton's house after school that day. His mom kind of looked at us like she couldn't believe we were back. She made us popcorn and some of those slice and bake cookies with designs on them. They were yummy. It was also easy. Miss Rasmussen had given us a worksheet with a bunch of questions about the Grand Canyon on it. We didn't even bother looking anything up. Brenton just slipped the worksheet in the scanner, and in a few minutes later, the worksheet popped out of the printer with the answers on it, like magic. Brenton had each of us produce a handwriting sample, and he scanned our handwriting into the computer. Then he programmed it to print out separate sheets with the answers printed in our own handwriting. It was impossible to tell that we hadn't filled out the worksheets ourselves. Our homework was done in no time. Kelsey: when Brenton gave me my worksheet with the answers on it, I pulled $1 out of my backpack and handed it to him. I figured the least I could do was give him $1 for doing all the work for me and saving me an hour of work. But he wouldn't take it. He said, "Don't be silly." We used him, I admit it. We used him all year long. But it's not like he got nothing out of it. We had some fun. Snick: so we were over at Brenton's house, and I see that he has a chessboard on his desk. I wonder who he plays. I mean, the kid had no friends. So he says, "I play against myself." He would actually play the black pieces and the white pieces against each other and take turns playing both sides. Do you believe that? It sounded nuts to me. He asked me if I play, and I say, no way. He says he would teach me how to play if I want to learn, but I say no thanks. The game is boring. I didn't tell him, but I figured there's no way a dummy like me could learn the game that's so complicated and play a genius like him. I don't like losing. I've got a reputation to uphold. Kelsey, we went over to Brenton's house to do our homework the next day too, and after a while we were going over there every day. Brenton's mom, I was so pleased that Brenton was forming this small group of friends, finally. The kids always kept the door closed. I assumed they were doing their homework together and they needed to concentrate. I didn't ask a lot of questions. I was just happy that Brenton was beginning to fit in. Brenton, while we waited for the pages to come out of the printer, Snick kept looking over at my chessboard. I remembered how he showed so much enthusiasm when we were building catapults in October, and he was always talking about his dad in the military and war things like that. So I said, well, you know, chess is essentially a virtual simulation of war. He seemed to be unaware of that. He thought it was a slow, boring game for eggheads. I explained to him that when you play chess, you're like a general with a whole army of all kinds of soldiers at your command. It's not at all like checkers, where you just jump over the enemy. In chess, you get to attack and destroy the enemy. You try to hunt down and trap the opposing king while making sure your own king is safe. It's actually very exciting. I showed him how the various pieces moved, how the bishops slash across the board and kill, how the queen can do just about anything and is all-powerful, but the king is very limited and must be protected. How the pawns are your foot soldiers on the front lines who protect the more powerful pieces and sometimes must be sacrificed for the greater good. I believe he was intrigued. Judy. Okay. I don't remember whose idea it was, but somebody said we needed a nickname for the homework machine. We needed a code name so we wouldn't have to say the homework machine out loud in front of other people. I wanted to call it Doris myself. Snick said it was the homework machine, wasn't a girl. What? We had this big argument about whether or not a boy's computer had to have a boy's name or not. We tried to think of all the names that could be a boy's name or a girl's name. You know, Pat, Chris, Casey, Nikki, Randy, Alex, Jamie, Jordan. Then Snick let out this really loud burp, and we all laughed. After we finished laughing, saying what a disgusting pig Snick was, Brenton suggested we nickname the homework machine Belch. I thought it was a little crude, but the others thought it was perfect. So from that moment on, we started to call the homework machine Belch. Kelsey, I said fine, Belch. Whatever you want to call it is fine with me as long as it works. Snick, my dad had an old chessboard in the bookcase, so I pulled it out one night and put the pieces on the squares. No way I was going to try to play in front of a genius like Brenton, but it was kind of cool fooling around with it. Brenton was right. The game is a lot like war, but in slow motion. Judy, I knew from the start that what we were doing was wrong. In the back of my mind, anyway. There was no question about that. I should have stopped everything before it got started, but I didn't. The only thing that I thought about back then was making sure we didn't get caught. We had an informal agreement that Belch would be our little secret, but I thought it should be more official. So all four of us put our hands together and promised not to tell anybody about Belch. If any kid ever found out, we agreed the person who leaked the secret would be doomed for the rest of his or her life and afterward too. They would live a horrible, unhappy existence, and they'd get straight F's on their report cards, and they'd never go to college, and all their pets would get run over by the SUVs, And if anybody's parents ever found out, well, you could just forget about your childhood. It would be over. Everybody agreed, and then we played kickball. Miss Rasmussen, I noticed sometime in November that the D Squad seemed to be coming together as a unit. They were very different in background in so many other ways, but they seemed to be becoming friends. They gravitated toward one another during lunch and recess. They left school at the end of the day as a group. I was very pleased. It's so rare to see a boy like Sam forming a friendship with a boy like Brenton, or a girl like Kelsey bonding with a girl like Judy. Looking back, I feel like a fool. How could I have been so blind? Brenton, about a month after I got the mysterious email, I got another message. I had completely forgotten about him until I saw the name at the bottom. Milner. You remember back then he got a message? This time the guy sent me an instant message. He asked me what part of the country I lived in and what kind of computer equipment I used. He said he would pay me if I answered his questions. I didn't feel comfortable. I probably should have told my parents, but I didn't particularly want them to know about Belch. I changed my screen name and email address. All right, that's chapter 3. It's getting intriguing now. What's going to happen? See ya tomorrow. Have a good day.